Hello Internet, welcome back. Tom and Chris Gaming. Today's video is going to be a little bit different. It's going to be a little bit more free-flowing, because the idea we had it's just a bit more of a nebulous. Just wanted to have a bit of a chat and a riff about something. We were digging through Chris's box of old console games, and so we decided that we just talk about some of the games that we enjoyed, some that we barely knew but thought were quite fun, and things that we'd like to see make a bit of a comeback.
Yeah. Like, where are they now, and why aren't they here?
Yeah, exactly. So we wanted to sort of see what mechanics from certain games could be resurrected, or or whole franchises come back together. So yeah.
And maybe in rare cases, what should have been left in the past.
Exactly. What ideas should never have been revisited?
Okay. I'm going to start us off.
Okay.
With Desert Strike.
Desert Strike. Wow. I mean, classic. I know I say that a lot, but that really was an absolute classic. You see, kids these days don't want military simulators where it's very realistic and helicopters go down if you get a little love tap with a Stinger missile.
Yeah.
They want something like Desert Strike where it takes like 15 Hydra missiles to take something down, and it's just blazing around with chain guns and killing stuff. Desert Strike was amazing. I love that game.
And it's two sequels as well. Urban Strike, Jungle Strike, then Urban Strike.
And then the next generation.
And the next generation. I mean, it did make the leap to the 32-bit generation with Soviet Strike and Nuclear Strike. Yeah. But as I recall, neither of those games were a particular commercial or critical success.
No.
I enjoyed them. I definitely played one of them and I quite enjoyed it. But yeah, I don't know. They're very dated now, very dated. But I still kind of want to see it make a comeback.
Definitely, just something. I mean, it doesn't have to be a big AAA remake, but just a nice kind of.
I'd settle for like Xbox Live Arcade, Steam, PSN, or PlayStation Store. I don't know. I don't really get my PS3 very often, but
sure.
Whatever. Like an arcade release. Relatively low risk. Just updated graphics, some updated mechanics, a bit faster, because the main thing you notice about playing these games now is like, you strafe, and then you fire, and then it hits, and it's really all very slow. And it was as fast as you could go back then, and it felt breakneck speed, but by today's standards, the game feels painfully slow, right down to like the speed that people on the floor are running at and stuff like that.
Sure. It's pixel up, pixel down.
Yeah.
But I don't know if you remember, but the handling of the helicopter was great. I mean, because it was kind of clunky, but still very enjoyable. So if you missed your target, you had to I'm circling around for another pass at him. And it took you about 5 minutes to get back.
Yeah, to turn back round. So if you went in too gung ho.
Yeah.
You couldn't just sit there either.
Oh no, you couldn't sit. Yeah. You couldn't sit there because you'd be a sitting duck. But so maybe a blend of the classic Desert Strike mechanics, but a little bit quicker. Just reimagine for a modern audience. I think that would be a goer.
Yeah, I mean it's not like we've got any shortage of wars and sort of wars to simulate or to.
No.
Because obviously
helicopter's still a fine vehicle for wars these days. So.
Yeah, it more so than it ever was. I think so. Desert Strike. Where are you? Where are you now?
Where are you?
Electronic Arts. Who the hell was that?
Who the hell was that?
An open letter to EA, please give us Desert Strike 5, 6.
Yeah. Suburban Strike.
Yeah. Desert Strike 6, we'll base it on the Iraq War, we'll call it Desert Strike.
Brilliant.
They love doing that! They love that! Desert
do.
Strike 2014 is what the games forums would be forced to call it.
Perfect.
Okay. This is more one for me than Tom.
Half the work's done already.
Flashback.
Yeah.
Flashback on the Mega Drive.
I heard a lot about this, but I never properly played it, so I don't really have any memories of it.
It was a game. It was a game.
That's all you need to know.
It was absolutely fantastic. The graphics at the time were like sensational. Like I couldn't believe what I was looking at, you know. And it was basically it's a concept that's kind of hard to explain to people now because games have such realistic movement in them. But back in the day, a lot of movement in games was like sprites. You fucking finished.
I think so.
Okay.
I'll tell you in a minute.
We'll soon find out. You know, it was sprites. You'd have like 2 or 3 walking animation things, whereas these games were based around using motion capturing techniques, and so everything looked a lot more realistic than you were actually used to. And essentially, yeah, you were this guy lost his memory. He just wakes up on this planet, no idea what's happened or how he's ended up there, and the story takes you through about 5 or 6 different levels, I think, on this sort of bizarre alien planet in this weird dystopian future where you're going to try and get your memory back and figure out what's happened to you and why you lost it in the first place.
Okay.
And stuff. And it was an absolutely fantastic game, and I would love like a Heavy Rain style remake.
Cool.
Or sort of mixture of sort of Heavy Rain style with its quick time events, but maybe just controlling like a slightly more sort of third person shooter for some shooting sections.
So set in the same Flashback world?
Yeah, and maybe even a remake or a reimagining of Flashback.
Was the plot? I mean, did the plot stand up? Did the bare bones of the plot stand up to make a decent game of that now, like with modern gamers' expectations? Or?
I would say so. I would say you could definitely flesh it out.
Cool.
For the time, again, the plot blew my mind at the time because you didn't get that much plot in video games back in the Mega Drive days.
So to replicate the Flashback effect for a modern one, it would have to be spectacular because it would have to be boundary pushing.
Yeah.
Because as that game was then.
Yeah, and
so I mean, quite a lot of effort for that one.
Yeah, and I suppose the problem that will come up with a lot of these is probably the studios that made it don't exist anymore.
Everyone who was involved with it is dead.
Yeah, I'm gonna throw out a few names here. US Gold and Dolphin Software. I don't know if they're still around.
I don't think they've stood the test of time, have they?
If they are still around, they probably have a different name.
Sure.
But it was, I believe, a collaboration of some sort between those, and
if you're still around, give us a call.
They probably would. They probably don't have much else on. Just living off the profits of Flashback.
Right.
And also a very similar game, possibly even with some of the same people involved, was Another World. Similar kind of thing, a little bit older.
Okay.
But again, would love to see more of that.
Cool.
Sticking with the vein of things that are almost entirely for me and not for you.
Great. Just so I don't get a look in on this video.
Yeah.
Good.
I think it's my turn now. Okay. Ecco the Dolphin. I really like these games.
I played Ecco the Dolphin.
But did you like it?
Not really. Not very much, no.
I think it must have sold well. It got a sequel, but everyone I speak to says, I played Ecco the Dolphin. Did you like it? No, I did not.
I think I seem to remember that it was one of the games that was boxed with the Mega Drive when you bought it came with the console. So that's probably why it's still sunk into the memories of a lot of Mega Drive gamers. They didn't fucking buy it. Who's gonna go out and say, yeah, I love guns, I love superheroes, I love being empowered in my game, so I want to be a dolphin.
But I mean, back in those days, you could be a hedgehog, a plumber. You kids won't know Sonic or Mario, but
Yes,
animals in games. And I think where this one maybe failed to strike a chord was Ecco wasn't a cutesy anthropomorphized animal. He was a real fucking dolphin. For all intents and purposes, he didn't really talk.
He still had to breathe.
He still had to breathe oxygen. Yeah. It was a harsh game as well. And just looking at it, like on the back of these games, they used to tell you how many levels each game had in it. So Flashback had 6 levels. This had 25.
Wow!
It was one of the early password games. You had to have the passwords you got to the next level, you wrote down like that handy 12 to 20 digit alphanumerical password, lest the levels fall into the wrong hands. And you would continue that way. I mean, I must confess, it's beaten me. I haven't ever completed Ecco the Dolphin, and I actually quite liked it.
I remember playing a few levels. My abiding memory of Ecco the Dolphin is doing the sonar bit and it coming back out, and then so that's how you communicated with some of the characters in the game.
Yeah.
And communicating with a wise old whale.
Yeah.
But the problem was the whale was as sort of ambiguous and as helpful as a fucking like Zen Buddhist monk. It just was spoken riddles. It's like, swim to the bottom to rise to the top or something. It's like that is singularly.
You kind of want Ecco to come back at him like, yeah, but seriously, what do I need to do?
Yeah, no, but seriously, I do need to get past this level. So
take me via some air ducts as well because I'm in trouble. I'm really struggling here.
Exactly.
It's a painfully hard game, and
So why do you want to see this come back?
Because it was good. It was original. There was Ecco the Dolphin.
Okay.
It got a sequel, The Tides of Time, which was also very good.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, I never played The Tides of Time. And there was a Dreamcast game called Ecco the Dolphin that was apparently nothing to do with either game.
Brilliant.
But what was interesting was this was a game. So you were playing in it was 2D, but it felt like you were kind of in a 3D space because you could go up and down and left and right, which I'm painfully aware is 2 dimensions, but it just where you were swimming, it just didn't feel like other platform games. It controlled in a very different way, and it made you feel a lot more free to do to behave in a different way. Than you're used to.
No, I understand.
And in the modern age of 3D gaming, I would like to see like a proper 3D underwater dolphin related adventure, and partly because these games are sort of childhood crushing in terms of their story and their it was actually a really sad story. Ecco's family gets sucked out of the ocean by this machine right at the start of the game.
Yeah.
He's looking for his pod, right? And then so at the end of the game you destroy this evil thing, but you don't actually find your family, and then in the next game you're traveling through time trying to find your family still. And the game ends, the spoiler alert, the end of the second game is that Ecco never finds his family and spends eternity travelling through time trying to find them. Now, if that doesn't make you want to cry, I don't know what will.
That's heartrending.
It is, and I would really like to see something a bit happier come out of that. Like, I'd like to see them have another go at it.
We could maybe split the difference. Maybe there could be a little bit where he's caught in like a non-dolphin friendly tuna net.
Okay.
Yeah. And then he's caught up like that and has to break free. But there's a bit where there's a close up on the camera of Ecco's face, like, that's more of a seal, but whatever.
Yeah.
And it's just sort of like, if only there were more dolphin free tuna nets in the world. And then he just like puts a flipper to the camera. It's like, sort it out. That'd be great.
Sort it out, world. Okay.
That'd be great.
All right. Pretty dark, but I see where you're coming.
He gets out of it now.
Yeah.
So it's fine.
Yeah.
Cool. Ecco the Dolphin. Brilliant.
Okay. Jungle Strike is very similar to Desert Strike, so I don't think we necessarily need to talk about that again.
I think we got that.
Okay. Just a few more before we wrap up. Road Rash.
Oh, Road Rash.
Road Rash.
Incredible. Such a great game.
1990 something. 3 maybe.
Such a great game. I think, as I might have mentioned on the blog, driving, not really my genre very much. Road Rash, a motorcycle game, but it wasn't really so much about the driving. It was more about beating other people with a massive arsenal of tools that you had. So you had like bike chains, batons, knuckle dusters, stuff like that.
I forgot about the knuckle dusters.
And it was just fantastic. And the best part about it was the sound effects were so visceral and
very meaty.
When you hit someone, you really felt it, and it was that was the real focus of the game, knocking other people off their bikes.
Yeah.
It
was one of those fun. It was a racing game where you'd get to the end of the race and you would have no interest in what position you came. Or that's whenever I was playing it, because I would always be playing 2-player, and it was just about me beating on whoever was I was playing with at the time.
Yeah.
And yeah, I would like to see that get a bit of a remake.
Definitely.
I was thinking it'd be a bit of a timing issue. You know, you're coming up to someone. If you time it just right, it'll reward you with like a Mortal Kombat, you know, manhunt sort of slow motion bullet time.
Yeah.
You know, crack.
Or like an X-ray thing.
Yeah,
so
you know.
See the skull being.
Yeah, and maybe for you know for a few people, bring it home a bit how seriously dangerous that would be. Like driving past someone at like 90, 100 miles an hour and then hitting them with a solid object.
Yeah, they're dead.
They are dead. No one's coming back from that.
No.
I don't care if you're wearing a helmet.
No, it's
and knocking people off their bikes at that speed as well is rather dangerous.
Yeah.
I get that Road Rash was about danger. It wasn't a safe game, but
no. They did all wear full leathers though, so that was good.
That's important.
That's important.
But I don't think it's enough.
No, perhaps not. So that was fantastic. I'd love to see a reimagining of the Road Rash franchise.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
So I'm gonna bring us on to what I think should be the last thing we talk about.
Okay.
I want to talk about it a little bit. I don't have the box of either of the two games that I'm going to mention, but they're both very similar in terms of how I would envisage seeing them make a comeback. So it is Golden Axe and Streets of Rage as series.
Got it.
Got it. You know, both of them were outrageously popular when I was growing up. Back in the 90s, everyone had Streets of Rage 2. You didn't own a Mega Drive if you didn't own Streets of Rage 2.
You weren't a gamer if you didn't.
No.
If you didn't have Streets
gaming
of Rage
isn't gaming if you're not playing Streets of Rage 2 in the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
You know, classic game, so much fun. You know, it was. It just baffles me that we haven't seen a comeback for either of these games. I know there was something called like Beastmaster, Golden Axe Beastmaster came out like 7 or 8 years ago, I think, for the Xbox to little or no fanfare. So I'm not saying they're not trying.
No.
Clearly someone's tried for that one. But since Streets of Rage 3 came out on the Mega Drive, I haven't heard a fucking thing.
Not word one.
No.
What's going on with that?
And Streets of Rage 2 must be one of the most popular games of all time, surely.
I'm very much with you on Streets of Rage, not so much with Golden Axe, because if just take them just going backwards there, the Golden Axe, a lot of side-scrolling sort of fantasy sword and sorcery things. There's a lot of good games of that example, like Castle Crashers, for example.
Yeah.
Lots of different ones, very stylized, interesting aesthetic. They just look a lot better. So that style of game has definitely continued, and I just think that Golden Axe was a little bit generic in that sense. But the perhaps the good things were the little dinosaurs you could ride around on, and the little gnomes that you hit to get magic and stuff. But I'm not entirely sure if that's enough to really like warrant a complete reimagining of Golden Axe.
I think one of the things I think about both of these games is that what made them great and what a lot of people remember them for is local sort of 2-player co-op.
Yeah.
You know, you remember being like, I'm getting the dragon, I'm jumping on him. And you're like, no fun
one player.
Yeah.
Just not nearly as fun one player.
No. And they were hard. Both games, particularly Golden Axe, was brutal in its difficulty. But what makes me think they should make a comeback is, you know, there are plenty of hack and slash games that I think you could just copy paste Golden Axe onto almost, and just give it a bit of a comeback. You know, put it out there, let the product recognition do its work, and let it have a bit of a reimagining. You know, like something more like a God of War, or like the most recent Metal Gear game, but with a guy in his pants with a big sword, and like a bikini clad woman with a big sword, and a dwarf with an axe.
And a dwarf, yeah.
Give me that. I want that.
Make it happen.
Who would not buy that? Who wouldn't buy that? But Streets of Rage, I got thinking about this the other day, and I was actually playing it the other day, which is what put me in mind of this. If it came back, I would not want to see it in its original form as a 2D scrolling sort of corridor beat 'em up, because those have very definitely had their day. did.
Mhm.
And if I want to play one of those, I'll play one of the ones that came out at the time. I don't want to go back to that. But I would like to see like a modern tale of Axel, Adam, Max, Blaze, going into the streets, performing some vigilante justice in a slightly more realistic world.
Right.
And I mean, the premise of those old games, and I'm excluding the third from this because I didn't actually play it, as very few people did.
Not many people did.
Was big crime boss, Mr. X, the crime boss, is running the city into the ground, and you've had enough. You're gonna put your bandana on, you're gonna get your fighting gloves on, and you're gonna go beat up some pimps and other
ne'er-do-wells.
until you've beaten up enough people to get to Mr. X's hideout. I'd like to see this be like there's corrupt cops and Axel and Blaze have been drummed out of the force because they've exposed McGillicuddy and O'Donnell for dirty cops. No one's on their side. They've got no one they can trust. So their only answer is to beat people up, lots.
The game is half made already. That's the plot.
Yeah, I seriously,
Easy.
like I think that's great. And as a mechanic, I would like to see it be somewhere in the region of, although not an exact facsimile of, the Batman Arkham games.
Right.
Because I can't let a video go without mentioning those games and how much I love them. But
Without gushing
gushing
remorselessly
uncontrollably at the camera about what great games they are.
Yeah.
But they are, and it's because the mechanics of the fighting are beyond solid. They are perfect, in my opinion, for what it does. Now, you'd have to tone it down a bit, because you can't have Axel doing like backflips and jumping halfway across the screen
and leave the gadgets out as well.
Leave the gadgets out, but bring the weapons in. If you're carrying a knife, you maybe holster it and then you can bring it into your combos. It would be a darker, grittier kind of fighting.
Sure.
Because you might well end up sort of like
killing people
in the knee and
Yeah.
But the challenge, but also I think the great reward would be if you could make a 2-player version of that. If that mechanic could work in a 2-player format, then
you might, you might have to sort of limit that to a local co-op. Might be a little bit difficult because of the why Batman fighting, why the Arkham Asylum series works so well is because the camera tracks his motion when he's flipping around so well. It makes you feel very empowered. 2 people, that might be a bit difficult, so you might have to leave that to sort of just online multiplayer.
Yeah, or like System Link or something like that.
Yeah, just something that's not co-op, because split screen wouldn't be great either.
Yeah.
I'd imagine.
But
so you were saying?
I fucking love Streets of Rage 2.
That was the gist of it.
And every game since has been a letdown.
Everything else has been a
like,
pale shadow of the enjoyment you had with that game.
I think I really need to play Streets of Rage 3 to find out where it all went wrong. But yeah, so I'd really like to see it make a comeback. It's a very genuine thing. Like a lot of this stuff is just nostalgia. Wouldn't it be fun? But I think
it's got legs.
Yeah, if Streets of Rage 4 got announced tomorrow, I think it would sell well, irrespective of what actually came out. And I do think they did actually make a really, really good original game out of it.
I tell you what, one mechanic that probably wouldn't fit your reimagining very well is the one in Streets of Rage 1 where you could call in the support from the cop cars.
The napalm strike.
They would bazooka the area or fire off a chain gun.
Yeah, it was literally napalm in one of them. There was napalm. That was the fire that circled you. Then there was just the bazooka. Pew, 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 pew. And of course they were all visually different, but literally the same thing. The minigun made no sense. Firing those heavy bullets into the air.
It made absolutely no sense.
None of it made any sense really.
Going around beating up thugs and criminals in an area, you can kind of you see that, but the police force sort of owning military grade hardware and raining death on one of its own US cities is a little bit more difficult. So that probably wouldn't make it over to the translation.
But if I may, imagine the scene.
You may.
So you're encircled by pimps.
Sure.
And you're throwing your punches, whatever else. You're running a bit low on health. You press the special button, okay, that
Sure.
calls in the help, and then the view pulls back, okay, to the window of a nearby apartment where one of your police pal snipers is there, and maybe even you switch to his control for a minute and you just pick off
Some
a few guys.
slow-mo type thing.
Yeah,
Maybe.
yeah, or like
So it doesn't look weird when the main character is just not doing much.
when dodging bullets and
Yeah.
and not just doing the two sprite dance that you used to do while you're waiting for the napalm to finish.
Yeah.
Killing everyone around you but you.
Yeah.
Um,
That would work really nicely.
that was just an idea that came into my head, but I think it's dynamite actually. Now, I think about it.
for an unrehearsed idea, that is fantastic.
Yeah, but just that's the sort of thing. It's just about modernising the ideas of the old games, and
But with a bit of a tip of the cap.
yeah, a nod to what was old and great about it, but a genuine attempt. Like so many reimaginings are just nostalgia trips without it's
Without trying to say something new.
it's just homage after homage without actually attempting to really give us some fresh new ideas out of an old series. So I want to see a very fresh and original game, but I think that would be a very good idea.
I would buy that tomorrow.
I know I would.
I really want to play Streets of Rage 2 now.
Me too.
Should we do that?
There you go. So let's wrap this up then. So just a little trip down memory lane, really. Bit fun to look back at some of the old games and play through some of them in some cases.
And one of the nice things about it is that some studios are so piss scared of new ideas that maybe some of these old series will get resurrected, which would be nice. I mean, so that's...
I'd really like to see it. I think we need to figure out who owns the rights to some of these games now. And if no one does, maybe we should buy them.
I think that then we might bite off a little bit more than we can chew, but yeah, put it on the back burner.
Put it on the back burner. Okay.
Brilliant. Thanks very much for watching, Internet. Chris and Tom and Chris.
So we're going to see you soon. See you in the next video.